The freedom that you have in running your own business gives you this extra energy that you don't have when you're building someone else's dreams.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. I'm so excited to chat with Tonya Roberts. She transforms fledgling organizations into high performing businesses because she's a fractional COO and HR consultant. So, if you don't know, listener, a COO is somebody who's really great with process, helps you with your operations, and dials all of that in. And HR, of course, is dealing with people. So she is drawing from 18 years of experience across 30 different countries, which is just amazing. That's incredible. And she helps companies to scale their operations, build inclusive cultures, love that, and develops leadership teams that drive growth. LaTanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So I love to ask people, like, what got you here? Like, why, one of the coolest things about being an entrepreneur is all the freedom and the choice that we get. So, what compelled you to choose to help organizations with operations and people?
Yeah, so I started my career about 20 years ago working for some of the big consulting firms. And I was doing operations type work, even though I didn't know that's what it was. So, strategy, the process improvement, the org transformation, the change management, the learning and development. And when I was at my last company, Deloitte, I said either I'm going to leave here as a partner or I'm going to leave here running my own business. So I knew I was like, there is only two ways out of this thing. And 4 years later, I was like, all right, I think I want to, I think I'm getting that entrepreneurial itch. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, I need
Whoa.
a major change. And
Yeah.
so I had a dream, and in my dream, I was living in Atlanta. At the time, I was living in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, the DMV,
Okay.
and I had this dream of moving to Atlanta and starting a business and having this new life and it just being beautiful. And also, there was a message in there that said, okay, I've given you this vision, and if you don't execute on it, I'm going to take it away. And that scared me. So within 30 days, I packed up my kids, sold my house, and I moved to Atlanta. And soon as I got here, a friend of mine that I went to college and ironically, I helped her start her own HR consulting firm by kind of advising her through the process. She called me and said, hey, I have this potential opportunity. It's working with another person doing diversity, equity, inclusion in HR. Would you like to join us? I said, give me a week to unpack. And then let's talk. And that started my entrepreneurial venture. And we worked together for 4 years. Eventually, I became the COO of that company. A year later, I quit Deloitte. We had built $1 million business. And now I realized that all of my gifts are what led me to serving in operations. And so now I do that with other women consultants, coaches, and service providers.
That's really, really cool. Well, and Latonya, I don't know if you knew this, but I also grew up in Big Five consulting, and I also got that entrepreneurial itch. Bit of a different story, kind of apart from that, but I just really love the theme here, which is you need to have some skills. You need to have some sort of a direction to be able to operate at a higher level of premium consulting or coaching or
Mhm.
anything like that. And one of the really great ways to gain that is from your prior work experience. So I'm so curious, like when you made the leap, when you made that transition, what surprised you the most about the differences between working for a big company and driving your own?
What surprised me the most was that the freedom that you have in running your own business gives you this extra energy that you don't have when you're building someone else's dream. So I worked a lot of hours. Sometimes I still do, right? Like, a 60-hour work week feels different when it's for you than it does when it's for someone else. And so I could find myself working till 8 or 9 o'clock, but I'm like, this is my baby. It's great. And I'm like, I still have energy. Now, had I done that while in corporate, I'm like, I am so tired. I'm burnt out. I can't do this anymore. Right. So
So good.
that extra energy, that creativity, that just You just get in the flow and you're like, this is my thing. I'm building this. And it's just such a good feeling. So that really surprised me.
That's really, really cool. I think like that really speaks to the sensation that pulled me into high performance coaching in the first place, which was when you feel like you're in achievement but not in alignment. Right. And it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
finding that alignment. And especially if you're somebody who identifies as being a hard worker, being a high achiever, being someone who cares about their output, even if they're working for somebody else, is like, hey, if I'm putting my human energy towards this, then, it's going to be good. But the question is like, are you good? Like, are you
Hmm.
okay? Are you feeling like you're building something that you authentically really care about? And I'm a big believer you can be really successful inside other people's containers. There's nothing wrong with having a job.
Hmm.
And also, like, if for whatever reason it's been placed on your heart to build your thing, you know,
Hmm.
I love your advice and your story, which was just like you got to listen to it because if you don't, then it's going to get taken away somehow. And I think that
That's right.
that's a powerful motive. What would your top advice be for someone who wants to like really win as an expert, as a consultant? I mean, you've got all this deep experience with operations, with talent. If you were to either give yourself advice from a few years ago when you started this thing or just even knowing what you know now, what's something that you see a lot of entrepreneurs kind of struggle with that you wish they didn't, you wish they knew something new?
Yeah, so we talk about a lot of imposter syndrome, right?
Mm,
And I dealt with that too, right? I dealt with I'm like, oh my God, this person is better. I see all these things online, whatever. I can never be them. But you know what? You really have to look in the mirror and remind yourself who you are and remind yourself of all the amazing things that you have overcome and you have done. And this is not a time to be humble. This is the time to say, you know what? I am the freaking rock star that everyone comes to. I'm the fixer. I'm this. I've done that. And you have to just own it, walk in your power,
mhm.
and know that, you know what? This may be hard, but I do hard things well. And I got this. And I know if I bet on myself, I'm always going to win. And so
Mm.
I had to tell myself a lot of those stories of, girl, you remember when you were first year in consulting and you had one kid and then all of a sudden you had two kids and you're surrounded by all these people with no responsibilities and not married and you had to grow your career in 40 hours when other people had all this time to network and do all these amazing things and you just didn't have time to do it and you figured that stuff out and you were a high performer. So look in the mirror, remind yourself who you are, and know that you are always going to come on top when you're in alignment.
I love that. I love that. I had the same issue. Like even though I had performed extremely well inside the container of a company, I had so much doubt and honestly discouragement when I went out into the great big wide world to launch my business. And what I've noticed among business owners is that everyone has strengths. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
has opportunities for growth, right? Like everybody has that. Like there is no perfect superwoman, superman kind of moment that you step out and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I have so much confidence," right? And I even really struggled with inadvertently disempowering myself
Mm-hmm.
because I took those things that I had accomplished that I had figured out because like that is so remarkable. To be a younger mother and to have the time discipline to still achieve in your career, that's not a small thing. There's a lot of people who might have made a different choice, but you chose the harder thing, which was to figure it out. And I think one way we disempower ourselves is we say, well, if I acknowledge that, if I acknowledge my power, then I'm conceited, right? I'm like this egotistical person. And I really had to work through that. I don't know if you really struggled with that as
I
well, but
did.
I see it over and over again that people are so worried about bragging or being seen as in Australia they call it the tall poppy syndrome. And I'm like I'm not tall in any kind of a way. I'm 5'3", but the point is,
I'm
owning
5'4",
owning
Amanda,
your
and I
power.
am 6'4" when I walk in the room.
You're 6'4"?
No, I'm 5'4", but I feel 6'4" when I walk in the room. But own the
Ding
room.
dong. I love that. I was like, you what? Because
No.
Zoom like tricks you, man. Like you have no idea, right? Love that. So talk to me a little bit about like where you're going, who have you figured out is your magical dream? We call it the dream avatar around here. Like who do you just love working with and what makes that special? And listener, the reason I'm asking her this in front of you is that for many of us, that permission to really go for who we really want to work with, we revoke that power. And it's like, no one's disempowering you. Like, let yourself feel powerful. So, Latanya, you've obviously figured out some things. Like, who's your
Hmm.
dream person that you love to work with?
Yeah, my dream person is that. Can I curse on this podcast? She is that
Lightly, a little.
like, okay, she is that bad A female consultant that
Oh,
has
you wanted to say
10 years.
badass? I thought you were going to drop an F
Yeah.
bomb. Okay. No,
Oh,
badass
no,
is
no, 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 no.
fine.
No, 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 no. She is this badass female consultant that has been a rock star for another company for 10 or more years. She is a subject matter expert. She knows her zone of genius. And she is ready to own her role and walk in her purpose and actually start her own business, right? So taking her power back by going out on her own. And what I want to do with her is maybe she's been a freelancer or an independent consultant for a couple of years and now she's ready to scale up in her business, bring on some other contractors or bring on some other employees, but she needs someone to come in and put that structure in place. I want to partner with you and I want to help you do that, right? Like I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I love processes. I like AI and technology, background in human capital consultant. So I know how to put teams together and strategy is my jam, right? So I want to know your
So
vision.
good.
I want to know
Yeah.
what story you want to tell when you're sitting around the fireplace with your grandkids and you're sharing the legacy of who you are and what you've done and pouring into your people. I'm going to help you build that.
Nah, I love the energy. I had a feeling, this is not take two of the podcast, y'all. Like I just had a feeling that if I asked you that question, you would have remarkable clarity and you really, really do. And for dear listener, like listen to the energy and the enthusiasm that Latanya has for how she talks about her person. You might be working with somebody completely different, dear listener. Like you might be in a completely different realm of expertise, but the thing that I want to encourage sameness in is the enthusiasm, the energy, and the clarity for like who's a really amazing person that you really, really want to help that has big ambition and big goals. Like that's something that I really notice, Latanya, about how you're talking about this is that you have clear vision for her vision,
Yes.
and that alignment. And you said the word partner, like that's the sauce, that's the juice. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what your next big project is in your business. Like what are you really focused the most on?
So it's a couple of things. One, I am starting my own podcast. So that's my newest
Yay!
baby. Yeah, yeah. I've been on this podcast tour for the last 4 months and now I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get out there and do my own. All right. So I'll be
Very
doing
good.
that. And then I am building out my ecosystem. So I am all about women's empowerment. So I am training other women on how to do what I do. So
Mm.
creating a community, a support system, and educational sandbox, if you will, for us to learn and grow together. Everyone just walk in your purpose and shine as brightly as you can bring your gifts to the world. So I do that I have a free community and then people that want to get into operations or that think, you know what, this may be my thing. Well, come on, let me show you how to make it do what it do
I
and
love
turn that
it.
into a business.
That's so good. Well, Latanya, do you have any like extra words of wisdom or things that you'd our listeners to think about as they're going after their next goals?
Just, you know what, believe in who you are. Believe that even when you are in those times of doubt, know that this is happening to you and there's always, or I'm sorry, this is happening for you, not to you. There is always a lesson learned. So I don't believe that you fail, right? Because there's always something that you can get out of it. And
Hmm.
don't let anyone tell you that you can't, because you absolutely can if you want to, right?
That's
And
it.
you got to make that
Yeah.
decision first. Do I want this? Yes. Okay, well, let's figure out how to do it. And it's not always you that needs to do it. It's Who's your how? I'm the how for many women, right? And like I have this big dream. I don't know how to accomplish it. Hey, girl, hey, I'm right here. Because when you're talking to me, I'm going to tell you 10 ways to monetize it or 10 ways to do it, right? So, what is it that you want to do? Make the decision and put together your dream team to make it happen.
Oh, so good. Latanya, how can people keep up with you? What's the best way to follow you?
Yeah, so connect with me on LinkedIn. It's going to be LA-Tonya, Tonya-Roberts. Or you can go to my website, harmonyconsultinggroup.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. And we'll have all of Latanya's links in the show notes below this episode so you can follow her. Thank you so much for being here on the show with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, and I
Amazing.
forgot to say, if you follow me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I want to hear from you. And then I will share with you my Operations Gold Mine checklist. And it's just a little quick little thing to figure out where you need to beef up your operations and figure out what needs to be done.
Outstanding. I love that. I love that. I can't wait to dive into that checklist. And, listener, Latanya has prepared. She's here. She's like pouring her heart out. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And also, take 30 seconds and leave us a review wherever you happen to be listening to this. It could be a comment on YouTube. It could be a review on, Spotify, Apple. And the reason why I'm asking for you to do that explicitly is you have no idea how much it helps a show when there are positive reviews. And you know what? Leave an honest review. If this sucked, like tell us. And then, if you've got friends and especially, women who are very talented, looking at maybe building their own thing, even part time, make sure you forward this episode to them. Think of 3 people that you know like that. Share this short episode with them. It might just be that little nudge of inspiration that she's been looking for. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on a future episode.